Hey folks, Poster, welcome back to another Pokemon Master video, and Steelix Jasmine dropping tonight. A lot of people super excited for it, right? Steelix, super cool Pokemon. Jasmine, very, very beloved turn. Probably one of the better gym leaders, honestly, in terms of the whole lore, backstory, all that stuff, right? So yeah, let's get into this. So, let's talk about how they fare in Pokemon Masters, right? So Masters, Steelix is it's a physical tank, right? Although I see a lot of people just talking about, oh, it's a physical tank, like I just said a few seconds ago as well. But it's a good overall tank, right? Like Jasmine's special defense, it's not potato, it's 185. There's not that many Pokemon with like 185 special defense out there, is there, right? Let's sort that real quick. Yeah, there really isn't that many over 185. So it's solid, especially it's not, you're not competing with, say, a Rotom or whatever, or Alakazam in terms of your special defense, but that's still pretty solid. But the physical defense is absolutely massive. Not sure who thought it was a good idea to give it 300 defense, but, well, it fixed Steelix, right? It makes sense, but, like, the highest before that was, like, 261, and then once you go to Mega Steelix, it just jumps like another level, right? In terms of its other stats, it's every other stat is, I guess HP is not terrible, but like all the other stats are just bad. They're not even like mediocre or borderline. They're just straight up bad. But that's not what you're using Steelix for. You're using Steelix tank, and Steelix can tank, right? So moving on to its moves. It's got Gyro Ball. Power is doubled if the target's speed has risen. Right, there's a lot of opponents that use speed up moves and all that stuff, X speed, all that. It's not very rare to see any opponents use that, but again, you're generally going to be using Steelix for tanking, not for damage. X defense all, which is great. Sharply raises defensive all at sync pairs. We all know what that does. Clang. This is the one move that could either make Steelix depending on how it actually works, it could either make Steelix a great unit into like a god tier unit, right? So here's the issue with Steelix here, right? Clang says blocks both critical hits and stat lowering effects from affecting the allied field of play. Here's the thing. What we're discussing here is the stat lowering part, right? Does this block self-stat debuffs? And no one knows this. If anyone tells you they know the answer, oh, it does block or does not block, they don't know what they're talking about. No one knows this yet. There's no precedent in the game. There's like the closest thing you could grasp is like Arcanine's move, but again, it's completely different, right? So we do not know how this works. So we have to wait and see if this protects self, stat debuffing moves as well, right? Stuff like Close Combat, Leaf Storm, Draco Meteor, right? If that could stop those moves from lowering your own stats, Steelix is going to be an absolute god tier support, right? Clang blocking critical hits, that is on its own. Like even if we don't make it block, our own stat debuffing effects, right? Self debuffs. Just the fact that it blocks crit on the whole team is still really, really good, right? You're basically giving your whole team vigilance and impervious, kinda, right? Because again, we don't know how this whole stat lowering thing works yet, and again, no one knows. We have to wait till the unit actually comes out, and then we can test it. Last move, Iron Tail. Moderate chance of lowering the target's defense. 132 power, physical, steel, 75% accuracy, 3 gauges. You will almost never use this move, basically. 75% accuracy, 3 gauge on something that has 140 physical attack stat. So you're basically never going to use Steelix to attack. Unlike Wallace could actually do stuff offensively. Steelix is just a pure tank, and it's really, really good at it, right? Moving on to the sync move, Steel Clad Iron Tail, pretty standard, mega sync move, right? For a mega unit, 160 power, right? That's the standard. And then physical steel becomes Mega Steelix until the end of battle. The more defense has been raised, the greater the power of this move. Again, you're not going to do damage to that. No point. Is there a point going into Mega Steelix? I don't know. And as for its passives, endurance. Anyways, let's go check out Mega Steelix. So Mega Steelix has stat buffs. Look at that defense. 360 defense. And still 180, 5 special defense, all that stuff. And yeah, nothing changed except for you gain last word, which is not that great. Uses explosion immediately after fainting. Again, you're not going to do any damage, unfortunately, with Steelix, so no point there, right? So Steelix in general as a unit is pretty solid. It's it's not the best support or whatever, or tank, but at base it's a pretty solid tank. There are a few things that stop a Steelix from being a really, really good tank at 1 out of 5, right? Which is or without sync, which is unfortunately it doesn't have self heals, which is a slight issue. All the top tier tanks, Mew, Rotom, right? They all have self heal, which helps a lot. Steelix unfortunately doesn't have that, but Steelix has a monster defensive stat. But again, you could burn through that. Unfortunately, if the opponent, something with decent damage could still break that down, right? So speaking of, it does have a sync grid, and let's talk about the sync grid. So this is Steelix's sync grid. In the sync grid, Steelix gets incredibly good because Steelix gets Soothing Sand. I think that is 3 out of 5, right? Yep, that's 3 out of 5. Steelix gets Soothing Sand and Sand Shelter. So Steelix essentially becomes the ultimate Garchomp and Palisand partner, right? You put that in their team, Sandstorm's up, you heal in Sandstorm, you tank like a monster, and then you enable Palisand and Garchomp to do their thing, right? Palisand to flinch the opponent, set up Sandstorm, and then Garchomp to deal massive amounts of damage. So there's that, right? As for some other stuff, you got Clang Berserk Bunch, which +1 attack to your whole team when you use Clang, which is nice, I guess. Some other stuff, your run-the-mill MPRs, right? MPR, MGR on Jar Ball, MGR on Iron Tail, whatever, Iron Tail on the roll, you're not going to use that. Doesn't matter. All that stuff. Tough Cookie, which, again, you won't use most likely, even though it does have 2 Tough Cookies, but still, Steelix probably won't be doing that much damage, unfortunately. MP Refresh on Clang, which is great. Recuperation 2, that's the other one, right? I forgot to add Recuperation. So, yeah, I take that back. You will be sync moving with Steelix a lot. You will be going to Mega Steelix a lot, especially if you're running it with Mega Garchomp. There's almost no point in using Garchomp sync move after your first one, just to go into Mega. After you use that, you probably should not use Mega's Garchomp sync move ever again. You just keep on using Steelix's sync move. You heal with that. You go to Mega. You increase your defensive stats. And the thing is, with Garchomp and Steelix, Garchomp's Earthquake does more damage than Garchomp's Sync move. Like, it blows Garchomp's Sync move out of the water. And then you also get the Sync move buff from Steelix. So it's not like you're not going to use Sync move. You obviously want the Sync move. That's a 1.5 times multiplier, right? So you're going to use Steelix's Sync move if you're using it with Garchomp. If you're using it with other units, it depends, right? Sometimes you'll use Steelix. Sometimes you kind of want to use the Strikers, right? But stuff like Garchomp, if you're running with any of the other popular Mega Striker stuff like Charizard, you probably want to use Steelix's sync move instead, right? Moving on, got some other stuff. Impatient, a small chance of reducing the sync move countdown when you get hit, and you will get hit because you're going to use it as a tank, right? So that's pretty interesting as well. Rejuvenate 6, that's also great. So another reason to use Steelix's sync move, right? Unfortunately, these are kind of far apart, which is kind of weird and / kind of bad. But you should be fine still. So yeah, that's most of the stuff. Surging Sand 9, Jar Ball, oh my god. I guess you could do something with that maybe, but overall I don't think it's going to be that good of a striker. But yeah, that's basically it for Steelix's sync grid. Here's the thing about Steelix in terms of if you should summon for it or not. Doesn't matter if you're going to summon for it or not. Don't summon on it on day 1. The banner runs till June the 5th. If you really want to summon for it, and there are some people who probably would want to summon for it, right? If you're gonna go for a 3 out of 5 Steelix, if you're gonna try and get 3 copies of Steelix, and you have 3 copies of Garchomp, right? If you have a maxed out Garchomp, and then you also got Palossand worked up as well, and then you bring Steelix. That's just an insane combo, right? And also there's another factor, which there's a lot of factors why you shouldn't summon on day 1. You also folks should probably stick around it and see how Clang works out first before actually, investing into Steelix. Got to know how Clang works in terms of if it negates self debuffs or not, right? So that's another thing to consider. And last thing to consider is, even if you want Steelix, because Steelix is a really, really good unit, even if you want to summon for Steelix, do not summon for Steelix until the very last day. Steelix, again, it runs till June the 5th. You got so many days to wait, right? Do not summon on Steelix on day 1. And honestly, don't summon on any banner on day 1, right? I keep on saying this, but people, I understand. I understand the urge to summon on a banner as soon as it drops. And I don't, begrudge anyone for that. If you want to summon on day 1, sure. That's fine. I don't think that's a bad thing to do. But just keep in mind, it's just not optimal to summon on day 1, right? I understand the urge, something new's just dropped, people are excited. That's fine, right? But just, if you guys want the best results, just wait till later, because we don't know what else is coming into the game, right? Especially the end of the month banners, which is Jasmine, right? Jasmine's the last banner that came out of the last Datamined. So please, if you want to summon on Jasmine, wait as long as possible, because the next Datamined will come out before this banner ends. 100% will come out before this banner ends. And that will come with the next potentially 4 or 5, 6 units for next month, right? And a lot of stuff that we've been talking about, the legendary arena coming out in mid-June, all that stuff, right? Could potentially be Signature Suit, Blue, Blastoise, if you like that, right? I know a lot of people like them. Again, it's not guaranteed to be good or great, but if you're waiting for it, even if it turns out that like Signature Suit Blue is just like bad or whatever, right? Okay, then you summon for Steelix. But if Signature Suit Blue turns out to be really, really good, then and if you don't really care about Jasmine or Steelix as characters that much, then you probably would want to wait for that instead, right? Just whatever the case is, just wait for the banner. Don't summon on it on day 1. Don't summon on it on day 2. Wait till the Datamined drops before summoning on this banner. And again, like I mentioned, Steelix, Jasmine, it's a good unit. But I would have to say, like, even if you wait till the end, like, even if next month doesn't really have that many great banners, Steelix and Jasmine at 1 out of 5, like, if you don't have Garchomp invested in, if Clang doesn't block self debuffs, if you don't, again, if you haven't invested in Garchomp, and if you don't have enough gems to get a 3 out of 5 Jasmine, then I don't think Jasmine's that great, right? Because Jasmine has a lot of issues at 1 out of 5, right? And just depending on what team you're running, what units you have, I don't think Jasmine's that really great of a unit to get, right? There are some cases where you can make Jasmine into an absolute monster, right? But in other cases, it's just not necessary. You should probably save your gems for other stuff, right? Even if next month has like nothing of value, which I highly doubt, because the game's always trying to throw out some new stuff for people to summon on. I highly doubt next month's just gonna be potatoes, right? So anyways, that's me for this one. Hope you guys enjoy. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like if you enjoyed this video, subscribe to my channel for some more Pokemon Masters content. I will be streaming Jasmine summons later today on day 1. Because it doesn't matter. I'm going to get her, the 3 out of 5 anyways, right? So stay tuned for that, and I'll see you guys later in the summon stream then.